Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some confusing genealogies which are found in the books of First Kings and Second Kings. The first one I would like to talk about is the genealogy of Abijam and Asa. And both Abijam and Asa were kings of Judah. So let's go to First Kings 15 verse 1. It says, "Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat." So Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, was the king in Israel at the time. Remember that the nation of Israel had been split into two. There was the northern and the southern kingdom. So here Jeroboam was the king in Israel. And Abijam was the king in Judah. And Abijam, if you just go back to 1 Kings 14 verse 31, you find that Abijam was the son of Rehoboam. And if you read it, it says, "And Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And his mother's name was Naamah or Naamah, and Ammonitis, and Abijam his son reigned in his stead." I think that's very clear. Abijam was the son of Rehoboam, and Rehoboam was the son of Solomon, and Solomon was the son of David. So here, in verse 2, we read that 3 years reigned he in Jerusalem. Speaking of Abijam, he reigned for 3 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Maacah. Please remember this name because it become very important. It says, "And Maacah or Maacah was the daughter of Abishalom." Now, it's probably pronounced, the proper pronunciation is Maacah, but due to the way we speak nowadays, it's not English. Some would probably say it's Maacah. Verse 3, "And he," speaking of Abijam, "he walked in all the sins of his father, which he had done before him, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God as the heart of David his father." You see here, even though we know that Abijam's father was Rehoboam, David is referred to as his father, and I'll explain why later. Verse 4, "Nevertheless, for David's sake did the Lord his God give him a lamp in Jerusalem to set up his son after him and to establish Jerusalem." Verse 5, "Because David did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all the days of his life." So this verse is going back a bit because Rehoboam had already died by this point. But whilst he was alive, he was fighting with Jeroboam. Verse 7, "Now the rest of the acts of Abijam, who was the son of Rehoboam, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And there was war between Abijam and Jeroboam." And then verse 8, "And Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead." So Abijam died, and Asa his son became king in Judah. "And in the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, reigned Asa over Judah. And 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem. So Asa was king in Jerusalem for 41 years, and his mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom." So this is interesting because we are told that Abijam's mother was Maacah, but then here we read that Asa's mother was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. Now, why is this? The reason for this is because in the Old Testament, we don't have the word grandmother being used in the Old Testament. Now, interestingly, there are some Christian websites that will say the reason why Maacah is referred to as Abijam's mother, but also Asa's mother. They'll say that Abijam married Maacah, and Maacah gave birth to Asa. And some will say that so Asa was not only Abijam's son, but she was also like his brother. But if we go to verse 8, it clearly says that, it says, and Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead. But like I said, some Christians will say that Asa is referred to as Abijam's son because Abijam married his mother. We don't, there's nothing in here that says anything about Abijam marrying his mother, Maacah. The reason is because the word grandmother was not used in the Old Testament. It's actually only used in the New Testament once. If we go to Esau, and if we look up the word grandmother, it only appears once in the New Testament. So here, 1 Timothy 1 verse 5, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, I am persuaded that in thee also. But in the Old Testament, as you can see, there's only one match found for the word grandmother. It's only in the New Testament. It's not found in the Old Testament. But if we look at the word grandfather, it doesn't come up at all. Zero found. Which is why here we have in verse 8, and Abijam slept with his fathers. Remember, Abijam was the son of Rehoboam, and Abijam was Asa's dad. It says here, he slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead. But then we read here, verse 11, and Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord as David his father. But David wasn't Asa's father. He was probably his great-great-grandfather or something like that. And verse 12, and he took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. And also Maacah, his mother, even he says here, see, Maacah is referred to as Asa's mother, but she wasn't, she was a grandmother. But the word grandmother doesn't appear in the Old Testament. Even her he removed from being queen because she had made an idol in a grove, and Asa destroyed her idol and burnt it by the brook Kidron. So you find that it's interesting that Maacah is mentioned a number of times. So if we go back to the very top, we see here Maacah is mentioned once, twice, and then I think the third time is here in verse 13. She's mentioned a few times because she was a queen mother. It's important. That's why she was mentioned. Whereas there are some queen mothers who are not even mentioned by name when it comes to genealogies in the Old Testament. So that's why Abijam and Asa both are said to be the sons of Maacah, or Maacah is referred to as the mother of Abijam and Asa. But the truth is that Maacah was Abijam's mother, and she was Asa's grandmother. And the reason why it's recorded in verse 13 that she was removed from being queen was because she was a queen mother. The other one I wanted to deal with is the genealogy of Jehoahaz and Zedekiah, 2 Kings 23. Let's go there, 2 Kings 23. Verses 31 to 37. 2 Kings 23, 31 to 37. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. And Pharaoh Necho put him in bands at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and put the land to a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, the son of Josiah, king in the room of Josiah his father, and turned his name to Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt and died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh. Remember, Jehoiakim was actually named Eliakim before, but his name was changed. He gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give money according to the commandment of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and the gold of the people of the land, everyone according to his taxation, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Joachim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zebudah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. So we started with verse 31, with Jehoahaz being king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem because he was removed by Pharaoh Necho. And who was Jehoahaz's father? Josiah. Now, the rest of the acts of Josiah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In his days, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates, and King Josiah went against him and slew him at Megiddo when he had seen him there, And his servants carried him in a chariot dead from Megiddo and brought him to Jerusalem and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz. You see there, the son of Josiah. So Jehoahaz was the son of Josiah, but Jehoahaz was removed from being king after only being king for 3 months, it says here in verse 31. And Pharaoh Necho put Eliakim, the son of Josiah, in as king. It says in the room of Josiah, his father. So not a lot to confuse us there. We know that Eliakim was the brother. It looks like he was the brother of Jehoahaz. But when we go to 2 Kings 24, 2 Kings 24, which is the next chapter. 2 Kings 24, verses 1 to 18. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim, remember he's the one, Jehoiakim was Eliakim, whose name was changed to Jehoiakim by Pharaoh Necho, became his servant. So Jehoiakim became the servant of Nebuchadnezzar. He served 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldees and bands of the Syrians and bands of the Moabites and bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servants the prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. Remember, Manasseh was once a king in Judah, and he killed lots of innocent people. And he says here in verse 4, and also for the innocent blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Joachim and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned instead. Joachim was the one whose name was changed. His name at first was Eliakim. He died, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned instead. And the king of Egypt came not again any more out of his land, for the king of Babylon had taken from the river of Egypt unto the river Euphrates all that pertained to the king of Egypt. Joachim's son, was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. Verse 9, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it. And Joachim, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and his princes and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. So he was captured by the king of Babylon, and he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord. Now, I'm just trying to see if it's necessary for me to read all this. So verse 15, and he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. Verse 17, and the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead. See, And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah his father's brother. Whose father's brother? This is talking about Jehoiakim. Mattaniah was his father's brother. Mattaniah was made king in his stead and changed his name to Zedekiah. When he says in his stead, it says instead of Joachim being king, he was replaced by Mattaniah. I'm just trying to find where I left off. Yeah, so Mattaniah's name was changed to Zedekiah, just like the Pharaoh Necho had changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. Okay, it can be confusing sometimes, but hopefully this video will help make it easy to understand. So this also the easiest way to understand this is that the word grandfather is not being used here. Okay. Verse 17, and the king of Babylon made Mattaniah his father's brother king in his stead and changed his name to Zedekiah. Yeah, what's actually interesting is, I kind of got lost a bit myself. What's actually interesting is Mattaniah was not his father's brother. If we just go back to 2 Kings 23, verse 31, we read that Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal. Remember, we read that earlier. So this is what's important here. Jehoahaz's mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. This is not the same Jeremiah that wrote the book of Jeremiah. This is a different Jeremiah. But Jehoahaz's mother's name was Hamutal. Now if we go to, Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah. If we go to 2 Kings 24, verse 18, it says, Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. Remember, Zedekiah is the one whose name was changed. His name was actually, I'm going to get lost now here. Mattaniah. Yeah, Zedekiah was actually Mattaniah before his name was changed. So Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. So Jehoahaz was not the father of Jehoiakim. He was the father of Jehoiakim, who was known as Eliakim before his name was changed. So here, the word grandfather is not being used. It should actually be grandfather. So here where it says, and the king of Babylon made Mattaniah his father's brother, it should be grandfather's brother, because Mattaniah had the same mother as Jehoahaz. Their mother was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. So it should actually be grandfather. But you see, the word grandfather is not being used because it wasn't used at all in the Old Testament. So yeah, just sharing all that to clear up any confusion that might come up, because I've come across this and had lots of questions. What's missing here is the word grandfather. It's actually grandfather, because Mattaniah and Jehoahaz had the same mother, but Jehoahaz was not the dad to Jehoiakim. He was the dad to Eliakim, whose name was changed to Jehoiakim. I hope that makes sense. So I hope that was a blessing to you, that it simplified God's word for you in understanding why there seems to be some discrepancies. It's just because the way we speak and the way they spoke is different. We use certain words that they don't use, that were not used in the Old Testament. Some of them not even in the New Testament. So hopefully that clears up any confusion. I hope it was a blessing to you, and I'll see you in the next video.